Music, horror, art, politics, badassery. Welcome to Society 13.
Welcome to Prog-Watch with your one and only host who is the most, Prog-Watch.
All right, and welcome back to Prog-Watch. This is our 7th episode. And we got a special episode planned. We have a new concept we're launching with this episode. But we have an old friend in the co-host seat, Steve Luddig.
Hello out there in Progland. I'm glad to be back on this one.
Yes, because this time we're handling one of Steve's favorite bands, as far as the newer prog bands, a neo-prog if you want to call it. And it is...
IQ.
I don't know if you remember from listening through the first, say, 4 or 5 episodes, but IQ's been mentioned here and there. A lot of the bands that we actually dealt with in those episodes, I'd say probably at least 3 or 4 of them had listed IQ as an influence on them. So I emailed IQ and got permission to do this. And what we're going to do this time, since this is such a long-lived, storied band, a mainstay, big attraction, one of the...
Years.
What's that?
For 20 years.
30.
30? Well, 81?
Yeah.
That's right, 81.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
These guys have been around for more than 30 years. They have too much material to cover in one show. So we're launching a new concept here on some of these bands like this. We're going to do 2 episodes. I'm not going to do them back to back, but this is going to be part 1 of IQ, and we're going to handle, say, up through the first 6 albums, up to around the year 2000, and then we're going to handle post-2000 output in a second episode, which will be coming in a few weeks. So anyway, I don't know. Where do we start?
Well, why don't we start off with playing our song, The Magic Roundabout, off of The Wake.
Okay, The Wake is actually the second album by IQ. We kind of glossed over the first one. It is a really good album. It's called Tales from the Lush Attic. There's a lot of really good formative material on there, but basically it was kind of recorded. Let's say it hasn't held up as well with age.
Well, I do like the music. The music is still excellent, but I mean, if you're in for it for the recording, the engineering on it, you might not enjoy it. But for the actual music itself,
Yes.
It is very, very good.
Yeah, solid album, no doubt.
Yeah, a very solid album.
So we just figured that it wasn't really a good representative of the band's sound, so we kind of glossed over it. But if you get into this band, you're definitely going to want to check out the first
yes,
album.
you still want to get it. Want to get it.
Yeah, the first few albums had a pretty stable lineup, which dated back to like 1981, from a band called The Lens. We had Peter Nichols on vocals, Michael Holmes on guitar, Martin Orford on keys, Paul Cook on drums, and Tim Esau on bass. Formed the band IQ, and I believe their first album came out around 1983. That was called Tales from the Lush Attic. The Wake was the second album around 87, we think, right, Steve?
Yeah, 87.
87. And that's where we're going to start off, as Steve said, with a song called The Magic Roundabout from The Wake, IQ. Here we go. Okay, once again, that was the Magic Roundabout from The Wake. And, well, Steve, you wanna start in on this one?
Well, it's an 8-minute track. A lot of good guitar work in it. It kind of reminds you of the early stages of Genesis with Steve Hackett.
Definitely. I thought it sounded a lot like Steve Hackett.
Yeah. It's just a good mixture of a lot of different time signatures, offbeats.
Started off real moody and spacey.
Yeah.
Then it started to kick in a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And once the vocals start, you can definitely tell that Peter Nichols went to the Peter Gabriel School of Vocals.
I think he sounds a little bit more like Fish.
That's
Marillion.
interesting that you mentioned that, because one thing I did want to mention about IQ is that, you know, in the dark days of the early 80s, when prog looked like it was going to die in the face of punk and new wave and all this, and bands like Yes were folding, and
Genesis
was starting to get more commercial to stay viable. The bands like IQ, Steve mentioned Marillion, 12th Night, who else did we say? Pendragon, Palace. Yeah, some of these bands, these were all UK bands. They more or less carried the torch to keep things rolling. And I think you can hear on this track that there's definite grounding in the 70s Genesis kind of sound, you know.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I think he sounds a lot like Peter Gabriel, but, you know, Fish also is very Peter Gabriel influenced.
But I think Peter Gabriel has a little bit more range. I mean, if you listen to something like Battle of the Epping Forest off Selling by the Pond, I mean, Gabriel really goes, his range really goes all over the place, where Fish doesn't, and Peter Nichols doesn't go that type of range, but it does still have that same type of, I wouldn't say accent, but
the delivery,
tone,
like
the delivery,
the way it's sung and the way it's put forth, very Gabriel-ish. You know, just the phrasing, the inflection, what he does with his voice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And of course on this track we have Mellotron, right?
Oh,
you gotta love Mellotron.
Yeah, trying to look up information what type of keyboard equipment this gentleman uses. Martin Orford, and I just couldn't find anything on it. I would really like to find out what he uses. Who knows with today's digitation, but even back in 83 or 87, when 87 was done, there was a keyboard called a Roland Vocoder Plus that did the choir, and it wasn't digital, but it was more up to date than a good old Mellotron, but it had that same sound. Tony Banks used it in Genesis as well.
Okay.
But I'd really like to find out if that's what he used.
Yeah. Maybe in time for the second show we'll have that information.
I'd hope so.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, well, the first two albums were pretty good success, and they were helping to keep the the prog spirit alive, and even helped these guys help coin the phrase neo prog. I guess what was invented to apply to them and Marillion and some of these other bands who sounded very tip of the hat to the old style 70s prog, but trying to carry it forward into the 80s. So anyway, after these two albums, there was a little bit of shake-up in the band. They went into a period where Peter Nichols actually left, and later he would return, and he's more or less regarded by most fans of the band as the definitive vocalist, for IQ. Although this fellow, Paul Menel, who came in his place, did a good job.
Oh, yes, he did.
And they made two albums with Paul, one of which is called Nomzamo, and the other is Are You Sitting Comfortably? We're going to play a track from the first one, the Nomzamo, which is a big favorite of Steve's. You want to?
Oh, I tell you what. Then when I heard the first track, which is called No Love Lost, and it's full instrumentation, everything. As I was going along, as I was playing, and then I heard this piano come on. Then it had the same vocals, and it's the same track, but it's just piano and vocals. And I said, I got to start figuring out it, because I do tickle the ivories a little bit. But with a little bit of arthritis kicking in, I just really couldn't get a hold of it because the arpeggiation that he used. But it is a very nice, beautiful song. I mean, it's going through my head right now. And it just I tell you what, it took me for a ride when I heard the version. It's very emotional
subject matter, emotional delivery. It's a well done song, and it's good in both versions. So if you go to check out Nomzamo, you'll want to hear the other version. But we decided to play today the piano and vocal only version, so you can really get into the song just kind of stripped down. Let's let the song speak for itself then, and we'll go ahead and roll.
Sounds good.
No Love Lost from Nomzamo.
Through the stinging of the system, wandering lonely as a cloud, talking only in the open. Congregation is even now disallowed, growing anger in the cities, banner headlines around the world. What has to be done is called a reformation, to heal the rift of living apart together. Forgive them, they know not what they do. There's no love lost at all. certain we'll always fear. Forgive them, they know not what they do. There's no love lost at all. Save them, they're the day when they ever got involved. Forgive them, they know not what they do. There's no love lost at all. And save them, they know not what they do. There's no love lost at all. No love lost at all.
Okay, once again, that was No Love Lost by IQ from the Nomzamo album.
Piano version.
Piano and vocal version, yes.
Yes, as I was just discussing with Tony here on the break while the song was playing, that there's one of the songs I'm going to try to get back to, trying to figure out and play. It is a really beautiful song.
Like I said, the subject matter is very emotional. I like some. It
Yeah,
sounds
the
like
lyrics.
a lament for the current state of human affairs, more or less.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's even paraphrasing Jesus at one point. Forgive them; they know not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay. Right.
I mean,
right.
it's-
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was some of Jesus' last words. I believe.
Yeah. Forgive them for not what they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But anyways, on the rest of the tracks, you know, there's a few bonus tracks in No Love Lost to the piano version, and Common Ground live is very good as well, and they got the studio version on that as well. Nomzamo, the title track is very Promises was my other pick if we didn't pick No Love Lost. Is, you know, just the whole album. I think they start going more into a lot of the keyboard oriented stuff.
I think you can hear him trying to get a little more commercial on this.
Yeah.
Album,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This and Are You Sitting Comfortably? They tried to appease for the radio side of it, but it was never took off
Never
for them.
panned on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they went back to their roots and.
Right.
So yeah.
Exactly. So Nomzamo and Are You Sitting Comfortably, which is still another great album, but we're just going to pass over that one.
Yeah, because actually Steve likes a lot, but a lot of the fans of the band don't really like Are You Sitting Comfortably very much. They feel that they
were trying to sell out.
That they had most abandoned the prog sound on that album. So it's actually rated as kind of the worst IQ album. So we decided to give it a pass on this show, since time is always of the essence. Yes. So anyway, like I said, for those two albums, Peter Nichols was out. A guy named Paul Mennel was handling the vocals. So anyway, it ends up that after two albums, I guess it wasn't working. Paul Mennel takes off, and their bass player Tim Esau also left and was replaced by a fellow named John Jowett. So yeah, what could have been the end actually turned out to be another beginning, because Peter came back, and they came back with a really strong album.
Too strong. I mean, this album is like Trick of the Tail. You cannot go wrong with this album.
We had a hard time picking one song.
Yeah,
song
we
to play
didn't know what to play. I mean, we're going back with Tony. It's your decision. No, it's your decision, Steve. You got to do it. No, it's your show. You got to do it. No, it's your. You're my guest. You got to pick it. And we went back and forth for about 5 minutes trying to decide which song we wanted to do, and we decided to do
Leap of Faith.
A Leap of Faith. That's what I thought.
This is from the 1993 IQ album entitled Ever.
Ever.
Which is a fantastic album.
Oh, and I tell you what, when I first discovered IQ, I was on a website where you buy CDs, and they recommend if you like this band, you might like these. So I put it on, and then they had samples, and Ever was the first one they played. I said, "Oh my goodness, I gotta get this one. This is, I mean, it just pulled me in right away by the first few notes of The Darkest Hour." And it just, I said, now this is a group. I mean, this is the group, and I got that one underway, and I got a few others right away.
Yeah. Steve and I hadn't talked for a few years, and then whenever we did talk, we started comparing some notes on some of the prog we had dug up over the years, and we had both dug up IQ, it turned out, and we were both big fans of IQ at that
huge
point.
fans. I tell you, like I said, this is and I got every single Genesis album there is.
So do I.
And
Doesn't
then
everybody?
Everybody
should.
And then Ever came along, and I said, IQ came along, and they are my Genesis of today. I'll play more IQ than I will Genesis now. I'll still go back to the Genesis, don't get me wrong.
It's like an old friend. You know it.
Yes.
It's like the back of your hand.
But still, IQ is the group, the prog group. I'm sure there's more out there that we haven't really discovered yet.
Oh, we'll get to them, hopefully.
And I'm sure we'll get to them.
So anyway, we're going to play that cut now.
Please
From
do.
Ever, 1993. It's called Leap of Faith.
Though you may be now a long way from home, all your hand-me-downs live on in
Once again, that was Leap of Faith from the 1993 IQ album entitled Ever. All right.
What a great song. What a great song. I mean, with what they use on the human choir and with the leads and everything else, I just have goosebumps because it's just,
I love it right off the bat. It's got like a moody, it's very Genesis-like intro.
Oh, very, very, very.
And then the band kicks it in, and you have some nice picked 12 strings, which again harks back to Genesis.
Yeah. When you had three guitarists playing.
Yeah, 12-string picking, in the old stuff.
Yeah.
When Tony Banks would even pull out the 12-string every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, you had the Mellotronish. I don't think it was Mellotron again. It sounds like it.
A lot like it.
Like a little slightly like an 80s version or 90s, I guess, at this point.
Right.
Version of it, with a lot of atmospheric keys through the middle. And then you get into this section where they're kind of going back and forth between the keyboard and the guitar.
Yeah.
And at first, the keyboard's just kind of playing like some kind of, almost like arpeggiated runs. Yeah. And it's not real complicated, and the guitar answers. But then the second time through, on the second pass, the keyboard, Martin Orford starts to stretch it out a little more, and he's playing a little more, and then Holmes is answering. Michael Holmes is answering with the guitar licks. And again, you can hear some Steve Hackett from Holmes on this album, but I think by this album you're starting to hear him establish a little more of his own identity. Where he's taken in Steve Hackett, and he's kind of, it's part of him now, and he's doing his own thing and probably mixing in several other influences. I never really heard who he cited as influences, but I can bet Steve Hackett is one. Mm-hmm. But anyway, after we had those guitar and those breaks, well, actually there was like that weird little syncopated break in between before it started up again with the keyboard and guitars going back and forth.
Yeah,
and the drums are building to a climax, and then it just kind of brings it down at the end. Because a lot of the stuff on this album actually was like one song ran into another. It's very thematic.
Right. You didn't know when it got to the next track. I mean, you didn't know it was the next track, because it just went right on into it.
Yeah, so I kind of faked the fade out a little because it doesn't really fade out proper.
No, it just... digital. No, it just
kicks
ends.
It kicks in. The next song just starts, and it's just a flow, But I faked the fade out on this one. But anyway, so I guess we're going to move along to the next album, and this is considered a bit of a I don't know, their masterpiece, kind of maybe double CD concept album in 1997 called Subterrania. And at this point, even their live act was really kicking. I mean, they had a fantastic visual show with lights and screens and films and theatrical action, a la Genesis, Peter Gabriel. And, they're getting a lot of notoriety at this point. But this album is deserving of every bit of notoriety. Again, a fantastic album, Subterrania. We had a hard time again picking a song.
I have about 10 of them here that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That I really want to do for the show, but the whole album, both CDs are really good. Fantastic tracks on it.
Again, a lot of tracks running together in a thematic kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Overture, when it opened up on Overture, there again, it just draws you in, just pulls you in and says, this is a great band. It's the writing and the musicianship, the talent is really up there with your Genesis and your Yes and Marillion. It is high quality talent.
Yeah, without a doubt. And on this one, we did something interesting. We kind of picked we picked two shorter ones that run together, and we're running them as one. So I guess we're going to let it roll.
Yes, let's let it roll.
And we'll talk about them afterwards. So the first part of this is called King of Fools, and the second part is called The Sense in Sanity. And we're going to let them roll now from the 1997 Subterrania album.
Ignited by the realizing eyes, unwrapped around the solitary sound, a failing voice is railing under walls, collapsing on the unfamiliar ground. Oh, empty heart, am I the only one on pins alone, or are we many born? Well, either way, you are what you've begun. And by the way, I never did you wrong. Nothing here is guaranteed. Nothing's understood. Now that I am far beyond beginning to belong, Maybe I don't understand the sequences I should. Can't tell left from right from wrong. God from bad from good. For all you know, for all you made of me, it's hard to keep the skin from tender bone. No earthly ties to hang me from on high. I wait beneath your overcrowded skies. Nothing here makes any gray. There's nothing I can do. Fed and watered though I was, barely half alive. Time enough to tire me out, but now I'm sleeping. I've lost the sense in sanity. Got the bad and good.
Okay, once again, that was King of Fools and The Sense in Sanity from Subterrania, a 1997 album by IQ. And I like this a lot. Whereas the other tracks showed a little more of the band setting, the especially Leap of Faith and the Magic Roundabout, where you have the guitars and the keyboards and and 12-string guitars. Well, this is showing them branching out and getting a little more like orchestral.
Yeah.
It has a real King of Fools, very ominous sounding orchestral beginning, and with just a little bit of moody keys.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
it was reminding me a little of Pink Floyd From the Wall, probably.
Okay, I'll go with that. And maybe even some. Maybe not as moody, but maybe a little bit of Alan Parsons, where Alan Parsons used a lot of orchestration.
A lot of orchestration, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I heard tones of Pink Floyd, The Wall on this for some reason. Maybe because it's so minor key and dark and orchestrated,
Dark.
But yeah, this was an interesting cut. Like I said, just that beginning is very sparse, and then the vocals come in, and it gets a little more complicated, a little more built up around the melody line, and then it kind of tails off into that heartbeat thing, which is pretty cool. And then that moves us right into The Sense in Sanity, which kicks off with that really cool sequencer, that keyboard sequencer pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they keep it real simple the first time through, with just the vocals, maybe a little bit of background, keyboards again. And I don't know, I was picking up, there was a lot of kind of dark subject matter again running through the lyrical content of this one again. It's talking about no guarantees, and he can't tell the good from the bad. Finally, he's lost the sense in sanity. Almost as if he's saying that, life just is so insane. It's just, you can't.
Not insanity, but
insanity. The sense in sanity is what it is.
It's two separate words.
It's kind of like a word play, I think, in a way.
Yeah, I believe so.
The subject matter sounds like the guy's losing his grip and not being able to tell good from bad anymore, right from wrong, and all that kind of stuff. He's losing his, his sanity, his moral compass, his grounding in reality. But a good cut,
Oh yeah, it is a good cut. But the first few tracks, Subterrania, the title track, Provider, and Sleepless Incidental, all three of those tracks.
That's a great track.
Yeah, Yeah.
I like to hear, like, I think I remember hearing a little more like electronic type stuff entering into the mix on this album.
Okay.
You know, like electronic beds for, you know, over which, you know, this kind of, I don't want to describe it. Just not necessarily music, but electronic sounds, you know, in the background.
Okay. Right.
Or as interludes, you know, in the interludes and things like that.
Yes, I tell you what, there people out there in Progland, this is a band that you really should get into and listen to. These guys are phenomenal. Sometimes I just can't think enough good adjectives to describe this music. Like I said, if you're into Yes and Genesis and Marillion, as I am, you will enjoy IQ as well.
Well,
I just got, a lot of tracks, it just goes right through me. And as I played it for my brother, he said the same thing. It just draws you in and it holds your attention.
Yeah, you connect to it, you know.
You can very easily connect to it if you like progressive rock music.
It's not like you have to listen to it 4 or 5 times the way some albums need to grow on you a little. This is a pretty immediate connection. It's
right.
I know in the beginning I actually did have a little bit of trouble adjusting to Peter Nichols. He's a little, I don't know. But overall, you know, I like him and I love the band. You know?
A lot of times, Tony, I just don't listen to the vocals. I listen to the music.
So I'm listening to everything.
Yeah, I know. I listen to mainly the music. Then I listen to the vocals.
Yeah.
Then I listen to the words and try to figure out what they're trying to say.
But on
the
a few, on a few of those earlier albums, it was maybe a little too much trying to be Peter Gabriel. I don't know, but you know, we've only covered up to like 97 on this installment here. We're going to cover the 2000s next time around, somewhere down the road here, maybe in a month or two, and you're going to see this band is vital and kicking ass still today. In 2014, their latest album, Road of Bones, I can't say enough about it. It's fantastic. This band has continued to deliver for like more than 30 years at this point.
33 years then.
Yeah, so I guess...
Well, I tell you what, when we get to that album, I briefly listened to it. I'm going to really sit down and just absorb myself into it this coming week.
Yeah.
And Tony said it's one to really, he said, it'll match your Ever with no problem.
It's really a good album. I can't wait for Steve to live with it a little more. And then once he does that, we'll come back with our second part. So I guess that'll pretty much wrap us up for here, for part 1 here. And I want to thank you again for listening. I hope we've piqued your interest in a really good band. And like I said, if you like what you heard here, you're definitely going to want to tune in when we get around to doing part 2 of IQ in a month or two, because I think even their post-2000 output is even better. It's just sonically
good.
Fantastic. It sounds more up to date. There's a little more of the up to date keyboard sounds, but it still has that grounding in the past, but it's carrying it to the future.
Right.
A little more, in my opinion. On some of the later stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And
so anyway,
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned, all you people in Progland. And I want to thank you once again for listening. The show's actually doing really well, and I'm really surprised in a way, but really excited. I had hoped that it would start to take off, and I'm starting to see it. And it's really exciting to me, and I hope that means that I'll be able to do bigger and better things in the future even. But for the meantime, we're going to keep progging the way we are here, right, Steve?
Yeah, that's all we can do. Is just get the word out and get America to listen to better music. As I said, when my brother got me my first Prog magazine when I was in the hospital, I said to him, we're living in the wrong country.
Yeah. Prog's a lot bigger in the UK.
Prog's is a lot bigger over than the UK.
As he's saying, there's magazines in the UK, that are dedicated to Prog.
Just Prog yeah. Prog magazine is one of them.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any endorsement on them yet.
Not until they start giving us some advertising money, maybe, huh?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But that is the magazine that my brother got for me, and they had a Yeah, they had a few good tracks on the CD that they had on. Maybe in a later show we'll talk about them as well. But yes, America, listen up. This is some really good music that this country won't allow you to listen to on our radio station.
My wife was asking me why whenever I have to listen to the radio, why am I listening to old stations? I'm like, because what's new sucks. It sucks so bad. It's just awful. I can't even stand
I'd rather listen to talk radio than listen to music radio anymore here in the city of
I'd probably rather listen to classical or something like that. I mean, at least it's mentally stimulating, not like this crap that's on the pop. Even the modern country is just the same kind of drivel.
Yeah.
All the singers sound the same. All the songs sound the same. Prague is where it's at. You want to find stuff that sounds a little different. My wife's like, how come you never listen? I'm like, because there aren't any stations that play anything worth listening to, really.
That's right. There isn't.
But hopefully we're going to help bring prog back. We're working on it. We're waging our little two-man war. Twice a month we're putting this out there, and if a couple hundred people are latching on and checking out a band,
and those 100 talk to their 100, we'll get thousands, and those thousands talk to those thousands, and get another few thousand more.
So if you like the show, tell a friend.
Yes, tell a friend.
And as always, you can email me or visit the Facebook page for Prog-Watch with a hyphen in between. Or email me at bigsquatch@verizon.net because I am your friendly neighborhood host, the Prog Squatch, as I like to be known. And hit me up. Let me know what you think. If you got suggestions for bands or whatever. But in the meantime, I guess we're gonna wrap up here. We're probably carrying on too long anyway. But I'll say so long to everybody in Progland, and I want to thank Steve again for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. So
we'll see you.
Keep progging.